Now, in today's lecture, let us discuss about adrenergic and non-adrenergic drugs. Before discussing about adrenergic and non-adrenergic drugs, let us discuss about the classification of autonomic nervous system. It is autonomic nervous system. This autonomic nervous system is classified into two groups. One is sympathetic nervous system. One is sympathetic neural system, while the other one is parasympathetic neural system. Parasympathetic neural system. Autonomic nervous system is classified into two forms. One is sympathetic neural system and other one is parasympathetic neural system. Now, there are special kind of drugs which are acting on sympathetic neural system, and the drugs will mimic the outflow of sympathetic nervous system, that is, it will stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. These drugs are called sympathomimetic drugs. Sympathomimetic drugs. These are the sympathomimetic drugs. Sympathomimetic drugs are the drugs which will initiate or stimulate the sympathetic neural system. These are called sympathomimetic drugs. Now, a normal student can call this sympathomimetic drugs can also called as adrenergic drugs. These are also called adrenergic drugs. A normal student will know that sympathomimetic drugs is also known as adrenergic drugs. But a clever student should remember that these adrenergic drugs are also called as adrenergic agonist. Adrenergic agonist. Sympathomimetic drugs, adrenergic drugs, or adrenergic agonist. These are studied under the sympathetic nervous system, which are used for stimulation of sympathetic nervous system. Now, there are another type of drugs which are activating the sympathetic nervous system or parasympathetic nervous system and inhibiting the action of sympathetic neural system. That special drugs which will initiate or stimulate the parasympathetic neural system are called as sympatholytic drugs. Sympatholytic drugs. These are the sympatholytic drugs, and these sympatholytic drugs are also called as non-adrenergic drugs. Non-adrenergic drugs. And a clever student should remember that these non-adrenergic drugs are also called as adrenergic antagonist. Adrenergic antagonist. Adrenergic antagonist. Now, this is some basic information about classification of autonomic nervous system, which are classified under sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. The drugs which are used for initiation or stimulating the sympathetic neural system are called sympathomimetic drugs and also called as adrenergic drugs, and adrenergic drugs are also called as adrenergic agonist, whereas parasympathetic nervous system are called sympatholytic drugs, and these sympatholytic drugs are also called as non-adrenergic drugs, and these non-adrenergic drugs are also called as adrenergic antagonist. Now, let us discuss about when the adrenergic drugs comes into the action, when does this adrenergic and non-adrenergic drugs are stimulated or inhibited in our body? Now let us consider central nervous system. Let us consider this is our central nervous system, and the master control for the autonomic nervous system, which is controlling the autonomic nervous system, is hypothalamus. This is the place for hypothalamus, where it is present. This is the place for hypothalamus. Now this hypothalamus consists of two parts. One is anterior part and other one is posterior part. This is the anterior part and this is the posterior part. Anterior part and posterior part of hypothalamus. Now let us draw this thalamus here, hypothalamus here. Now hypothalamus consists of anterior part and posterior part. This is anterior part, and this is posterior part. Whenever the anterior part is stimulated in hypothalamus, once again, whenever the anterior most part of this hypothalamus is stimulated, then it results in activation of parasympathetic nervous system. Whenever it is activated, it results in parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system will get activated whenever the anterior most part of hypothalamus is stimulated. So whenever the posterior most part of the hypothalamus is activated, then it results in activation of or stimulation of sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system. This is a basic information of activation of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Whenever the anterior most part of the hypothalamus is stimulated, it results in stimulation of parasympathetic nervous system. Whenever the posterior most part of hypothalamus is activated, then it results in activation or stimulation of sympathetic nervous system. Now there is a special structure in our, or there is a special location in our central nervous system that is controlling the emotions, that is limbic system. Let us consider this is our limbic system. Now whenever a person is walking, let us consider an example. Whenever a person is walking on street and whenever he suddenly he sees a snake, then first of all, whenever he is seeing a snake, then first one is visual cortex. First one is visual information. Visual information will be sent to the lobe of visual information will be sent to the limbic system and it will be sent to the lobes of cerebral cortex. Now after seeing visual, whenever first of all visual cortex will get activated. Now next auditory cortex will get activated. This one is auditory cortex. Whenever this auditory cortex is activated, it also sends the information to the auditory lobe of cerebral hemisphere. So whenever this visual information and auditory information is sent to the limbic system, then it will release special neural signals to the hypothalamus, posterior hypothalamus. It will releases the special neural signals to the posterior hypothalamus. Then it will initiate or it will show the positive effect on posterior hypothalamus, and in same way simultaneously it will inhibit the anterior part of hypothalamus. It will activate the posterior part of hypothalamus and it will inhibit the action of anterior part of hypothalamus. So whenever the posterior part of hypothalamus is activated, then a set of neurons will get activated, from all the parts, then it will be going towards the downside. So these parts are called polyneuronal descending pathway. Polyneuronal descending pathway will get activated because of activation of posterior part of hypothalamus. Then it forms nerves. It will form the nerves in the spinal cord. From here there will be outflow. Now this is presynaptic ganglion, or these are called presynaptic neural fibers, and it will be ended in the sympathetic ganglion. Now from the sympathetic ganglion it results in formation of post-sympathetic ganglion, post-sympathetic neural fibers. These are presympathetic neural fibers, and these are called post-sympathetic neural fibers, or the post-synaptic neural fibers or presynaptic neural fibers. In same way, it will be ending in the sympathetic ganglion and results in formation of post-sympathetic neural fibers. So what are the neurotransmitters which are released from the presynaptic neural fibers and postsynaptic neural fibers? First of all, the neurotransmitter which is released from the presynaptic area is from here, that is, it releases the acetylcholine. From the presynaptic area, it releases the acetylcholine. So from the postsynaptic area, it releases norepinephrine. This is an important point to be remembered, that from presynaptic area it releases the acetylcholine, and from the postsynaptic area it releases the norepinephrine. Norepinephrine released from the postsynaptic area, but there is some exception, that whenever this presynaptic neural fibers are going into the adrenal medulla, it will be ended into the sympathetic ganglion, and these postsynaptic fibers will be going into the adrenal medulla. It will be going into the adrenal medulla. After going into the adrenal medulla, it releases the epinephrine. Here it releases the epinephrine. This is the exceptional case, that is, in case of adrenal medulla it releases the epinephrine normally. Then in all the post-sympathetic neural fibers it releases the norepinephrine. So and after synthesis, now let us after from here, whenever it is synthesizing the norepinephrine, it should be transported to the post-sympathetic tissues. Now let us discuss about synthesis and storage of norepinephrine. Let us discuss about the synthesis and storage of norepinephrine. Let us consider one post-sympathetic neural fibers. First, let us discuss one sympathetic ganglion. Let us consider this is the sympathetic ganglion and one post-sympathetic neural fibers. Let us consider this is one post-sympathetic neural fibers. Now, for the synthesis of, before discussing about synthesis, these are the post-sympathetic tissues on which the norepinephrine will be acting. Now, for the synthesis of norepinephrine, one of the most important amino acid which is required is tyrosine. Tyrosine is one of the most important amino acid which is required for the synthesis of norepinephrine. So, whenever we take diet, protein-rich diet in which tyrosine is present, now this tyrosine will be resulting in neural area, in central nervous system. It will be reaching the central nervous system. Now, these tyrosine cannot directly enter into the post-sympathetic neural fibers. So there are special transporters for the tyrosine through which the tyrosine can enter into the post-sympathetic neural fibers. These are the special transporters for the tyrosine which are allowed for the tyrosine into this. Tyrosine. Tyrosine will be entering into the post-sympathetic neural fibers. Now, this tyrosine which is entered into this inner side is done by tyrosine hydroxylase. This transporter, name of this transporter is tyrosine hydroxylase. There is a special transporter that is tyrosine hydroxylase. This is tyrosine hydroxylase which are used for transportation of tyrosine into this inner side of this post-sympathetic neural fibers. Now, this tyrosine which is present inside of this post-sympathetic area, now this tyrosine will get converted into DOPA. It get converted into DOPA. Now, there is a special enzyme which converts the tyrosine into DOPA is called DOPA decarboxylase. DOPA decarboxylase. That is DOPA decarboxylase is the enzyme which converts the tyrosine into the DOPA. Now, this DOPA will get converted into dopamine. This dopamine will get converted into dopamine inside the post-sympathetic neural fibers. Now, whenever this dopamine is present in our body, in our post-sympathetic neural fibers, there are special membrane-bound vesicles present in the post-sympathetic neural fibers. They are the membrane-bound vesicles. Now, there are special transporters which are present on membrane-bound vesicles for the transportation of dopamine. There are special transporters which are present on surface of membrane-bound vesicles which helps in transportation of dopamine into this, that is dopamine. Now whenever this dopamine is entered into the membrane-bound vesicles, now this dopamine will get converted into norepinephrine. It will get converted into norepinephrine. This dopamine which is present in the membrane-bound vesicles will get converted into norepinephrine. So, if this dopamine which is not entered into this membrane-bound vesicles, there are special enzymes which are present in the cytoplasm of this post-sympathetic neural fibers that are called monoamino oxidase. There are the special enzymes that are monoamino oxidase. Monoamino oxidase are the enzymes which are present in the cytoplasm. Whenever this dopamine quantity is increased in the post-sympathetic neural fibers, then this monoamino oxidase enzyme will get activated. Then it results in degradation of this dopamine. So whenever dopamine is degraded, then there will be no transportation of dopamine into the membrane-bound vesicles. Then if there is no transportation of dopamine, then there is no formation of norepinephrine. So this is the action of monoamino oxidase, which is showing the negative effect on dopamine. So when after the synthesis of dopamine, this is the synthesis of dopamine and storage. Here it will be stored in the membrane-bound vesicles. Now after the synthesis of norepinephrine, then how the neurotransmitter, that is norepinephrine, is released. This norepinephrine is released by the help of fusion of these membrane-bound vesicles to the membrane of this post-sympathetic neural fibers. So how these membrane-bound vesicles are coming towards this side means there are special proteins which are present on surface of seminal vesicles. These are called synaptobrevin. Synaptobrevin. And there are special proteins which are present on surface of this post-sympathetic neural fibers. These are called syntaxin. These are called sympathobrevin and these are called syntaxins. So, on surface of this post-sympathetic neural fibers, there are special channels for the calcium ions. Here these are the special channels for the calcium ions. These are the special channels for the calcium ions through which the calcium will be entered towards the inside. Calcium ions are entering towards the inside. Now, these syntagins have two domains. They have two domains. Now, it will be in inactivated form. So, whenever the calcium ions are entering into the post-sympathetic neural fibers, now these calcium ions will get attached to these two domains and they will repel each other. It will repel each other. It will get repelled each other. So calcium ions will get attached here. Calcium ions will get attached here. Now, after the attaching of calcium ions, they will move away from their places. Now, here it will be the active site for the sympathobrevin will get activated. Now, these membrane bound vesicle will be moving towards membrane. It will be moving towards the membrane and it will be sticking towards the membrane. Now, these after sticking, the membrane bound vesicles will get stickled to the surface. After sticking to the surface, then it will be releasing out. It will be releasing out. That is, it releases the norepinephrine. Norepinephrine will be released. So, again, these membrane bound vesicles which are present at the surface, there are special kind of proteins that are clathrins. These are special proteins that are called clathrins. Because of presence of clathrins, with the help of these clathrins, these membrane bound vesicles will be again moved towards the inside of the cytoplasm, and this norepinephrine will be released into this outer space of these postsympathetic neural fibers. So this is about the transportation of or releasing of norepinephrine. So after releasing of norepinephrine, it should be acting on the targeted tissues. So it will be acting on the targeted tissues. Now, there are special receptors for the adrenergic receptors on targeted tissues. So let us consider these are the targeted tissues. Now, on surface of targeted tissues, there are special receptors. Let us consider this is one receptor. This is one receptor and it is called alpha-1 adrenergic receptor. Alpha-1 adrenergic receptor. Alpha-1 adrenergic receptor, and there is another receptor that is another receptor that is called beta-1 adrenergic receptor. This is alpha-1 adrenergic receptor and other one is beta-1 adrenergic receptor, and there is another receptor that is called beta-2 adrenergic receptor. It is beta-2 adrenergic receptor. Now, there is another receptor that is beta-3. Beta-3 is nothing but it is a modification of beta-1 receptor. Now, alpha-1, beta-1 and beta-2 receptors are present on the targeted tissues. Now, there is one more type of special receptor that is alpha-2 adrenergic receptor. Where does this alpha-2 adrenergic receptor is present means it is present on surface of post-sympathetic neural fibers. This is alpha-2 adrenergic receptor. Alpha-2 adrenergic receptor. Alpha-1, beta-1, beta-2 are present on targeted tissues, whereas alpha-2 adrenergic receptor is present on post-sympathetic neural fibers. Now, whenever norepinephrine is released outside of this postsympathetic neural fiber, it should be acted on targeted tissues. Should act on targeted tissues. It will be acting on the targeted tissues. Now, whenever this norepinephrine is acting on the alpha 2 receptors, so whenever it is acting on alpha 2 receptors, it will activate the alpha 2 receptor. So whenever this alpha 2 receptor is activated, then with the help of this norepinephrine, alpha 2 receptor will get activated, which is present on postsympathetic membrane of postsympathetic neural fibers. Whenever it is activated, then it will decreases the cyclic AMP, decreases the synthesis of cyclic AMP. So whenever it is decreases the synthesis of cyclic AMP, then the influx of calcium ions will get decreased. Influx of calcium ions will get decreased. So whenever the influx of calcium ions is decreased, then it will inhibit the synthesis of dopamine. It will inhibit the synthesis of dopamine. Dopamine synthesis is inhibited. So whenever alpha 2 receptors are activated, it results in synthesis of decrease of cyclic AMP, and it blocks the calcium channels and decreases the influx of calcium ions. And whenever the calcium ion influx is decreased, then it inhibits the synthesis of dopamine, and this dopamine do not convert into norepinephrine. So this is the action of norepinephrine on alpha 2 receptors. Now this norepinephrine, let us consider 100% of norepinephrine is released. So there is special mechanism, which is there are special transporters on surface of, these are the special transporters which are present on surface of the postsympathetic neural fibers. Now the norepinephrine which is released into the outside of this postsympathetic neural fibers will be taking this norepinephrine, that is, it will reuptake the norepinephrine, and it will be releasing into the inside of this postsympathetic neural fibers. That is reuptake mechanism. 80% of norepinephrine, that is 80% of norepinephrine which is synthesized, 80% of the norepinephrine which is synthesized will be reuptake by the reuptake mechanism. Now whenever the norepinephrine which is reuptaken will be present in the cytoplasm, that is norepinephrine, it will be present in the cytoplasm. Now this cytoplasm, whenever norepinephrine is present in the cytoplasm, it may enter into the membrane bound vesicles through the transporters, or if some part of norepinephrine is left over in the cytoplasm, then it is acted upon by this monoamino oxidase. It will be acted upon the monoamino oxidase. It will be acted by the monoamino oxidase. Be acted by the monoamino oxidase and will be killing of this or eating of this norepinephrine. So, and one more pathway, that is the norepinephrine which is synthesized, it will be taken by the general circulation. Will be taken by the general circulation. Let us consider this is our general circulation, and it will be taken into the general circulation. And one more pathway, that is it will be taken by the heart, or it will be taken up by the kidneys. It will be taken up by the heart or it will be taken up by the kidneys. So this is about synthesis of norepinephrine and storage of norepinephrine and releasing of norepinephrine. Now let us discuss about the drugs which are acting on this whole area. That is, first drug that is called methyl tyrosine. Methyl tyrosine. Methyl tyrosine is the special drug. That is, the function of this methyl tyrosine is it will block the transporter of, that is, tyrosine transporter. Whenever this methyl tyrosine is activated, it is given to the person, it will block the tyrosine transporters so that the tyrosine cannot enter into the post-sympathetic neural fibers. And if this tyrosine is not entered into the post-sympathetic neural fibers, there will be no formation of dopa, there will be no formation of dopamine, and there will be no conversion of dopamine into norepinephrine. So this is the first drug. That is the first drug which is acting in this area. That is, it is inhibiting the synthesis of norepinephrine, so that it is called as sympatholytic drugs. Now there is another type of drug, that is, there is special type of a drug. So the function of the drug is, as you know that in cytoplasm the dopamine is present. Now this dopamine should enter into the membrane bound vesicles for its protection. So there is special drug, that is, there is special drug which is present in the, now there is special drug that it will inhibit these transporters which are helps in transporting the dopamine into the membrane bound vesicles. That special drug will inhibit the action of this transporter which is present on membrane bound vesicles, which helps in transportation of dopamine into the into this membrane bound vesicles. So the name of that special drug is reserpine. Reserpine. Reserpine is a special drug which is used for the inhibiting of transporters which are present on membrane bound vesicles, so that this dopamine cannot enter into the membrane bound vesicles, so there is no formation of norepinephrine. So if this dopamine is not entered into the membrane bound vesicles, this monoamino oxidase enzyme will be activated on, or it will be acting on dopamine, and this dopamine will get phagocytosed. So this is the second drug. First drug is methyl tyrosine and second drug is reserpine, and it is also inhibiting the synthesis of norepinephrine. So it is called as sympatholytic drugs. And let us discuss next type of drug, that is acting in this area. Now after the synthesis of norepinephrine, the norepinephrine which is synthesized should be transported towards the outside. How this transportation is done by means through the fusion of sympathobrevin and syntaxin. So there are special drug which will block the calcium channels, and there is special drug STOP. There is a special drug that is called, this is special drug. I will say the name of the drug later. The function of the drug is it inhibits the fusion of sympathobrevin with syntaxin. So if the fusion of this sympathobrevin with sympatin is inhibited, this membrane bound vesicle cannot reach the membranes, so that this norepinephrine which is present in the membrane bound vesicles cannot be fused with the membrane, and if it do not get fused with the membrane, they cannot be transported towards the outside of these post-sympathetic neural fibers. So the special drug which is inhibiting the fusion of syntaxin with sympathobrevin, that is called guanadril. This is the third drug. First drug is methyltyrosine, second drug is reserpine, and third drug is guanadril. This guanadril is inhibiting the fusion of sympathobrevin with syntaxin so that they cannot get fused with each other. So it is so that they cannot get fused each other. It will be blocking in this way so that the norepinephrine which is present in the membrane bound vesicles cannot get attached with this membrane and cannot release this norepinephrine. So this is the third drug which is inhibiting the synthesis of norepinephrine. So these three drugs, that is methyltyrosine, first one is methyltyrosine, second one is reserpine, while the third one is guanadril. These are the three drugs which are sympatholytic drugs. Now there is one more type of drug, that is pseudo drug. So there is a special drug. Let us consider this is a special drug. Now this special drug will fool the tyrosine hydroxylase enzyme. Now it will fool the tyrosine hydroxylase enzyme, and it will enter into this post-sympathetic neural fibers. So after fooling, it will also fool it results in alpha methyltyrosine. It results in formation of alpha methyltyrosine. So whenever it is formed, then it also fools the dopamine. It also fools the dopa. Now with the help of dopa decarboxylase, it results in formation of dopamine. So whenever the dopamine is formed, alpha methyl dopamine will be formed. So this alpha methyl dopamine which is formed with the help of the transporters, it enters into the membrane bound vesicles. So it results in formation of alpha methyl norepinephrine. It forms alpha methyl norepinephrine. Now this alpha methyl norepinephrine which is synthesized in the membrane bound vesicles will be fusing with the membrane of post-sympathetic neural fibers and will be releasing out. So the released content will be alpha methyl norepinephrine. So it is not required for our body. This is a fourth drug, that is alpha methyl tyrosine. Methyltyrosine, reserpine, guanadril, alpha methyl tyrosine. These are the four drugs which are called as sympatholytic drugs. These are sympatholytic drugs. These are called as sympatholytic drugs. Now this is about sympatholytic drugs. Now let us discuss about sympathomimetic drugs which are working in this area. Now let us discuss about adrenergic agonist. Before discussing about the adrenergic agonist, let us discuss the difference between agonist and antagonist. Let us consider this is one cell and these are the receptors. These are the receptors for the cells. Now, let us consider this is a drug which is attached to the receptor. Whenever the drug is attached to the receptor, now if the drug is attached to the receptor, then if it produces the stimuli, internal stimuli is generated, then it is called agonist. It is called agonist. So this is the agonist. Whenever the drug is attached to the receptor but there is no intracellular signaling, if the intracellular signal is not present, then it is called antagonist. These are called antagonist, agonist and antagonist. Now let us discuss about adrenergic antagonist. First let us discuss about adrenergic antagonist. Now adrenergic antagonist. Let us discuss about the drugs which are acting on alpha 1, alpha 2 receptors. Alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptors. And next one is only alpha 2 receptors. Or alpha 1 receptors. Next one beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. And next one beta 1 receptor. Now the special drugs which are acting on alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptors, that are adrenergic antagonist, which will inhibit the action of these alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptors, are called phenoxybenzene. Phenoxybenzene and phentolamine. These are the two drugs which are used for the inhibition of alpha 1, alpha 2 receptors. Alpha 1 are present on the targeted tissues, whereas alpha 2 receptors are present in post-sympathetic membranes, that are phenoxybenzene and phentolamine. The difference between phenoxybenzene and phentolamine is, whenever this phenoxybenzene is attached to the receptor, then they cannot get dissociated from the receptor. But this phentolamine, whenever it is attached to the receptor, after attaching to the receptor, this phenoxybenzene which is present, then it will replace the phentolamine. This is about alpha 1 and alpha 2. Now next, the drugs which are acting on alpha 1 is clonidine. Now the drugs which are acting on beta 1 and beta 2 are called, the drugs which are acting on alpha 1 is prazosin. The drugs which are acting on beta 1 and beta 2 are called propranolol. The drugs which are acting on only beta 1 are called atenolol. These are about adrenergic antagonist. Now let us discuss about adrenergic agonist. This adrenergic agonist can be studied by two methods. One is direct method and other one is indirect method. That is adrenergic agonist, which is activating the alpha 1 receptors, alpha 2 receptors, alpha 1 and beta 1 receptors, alpha 1, beta 1 and beta 2 receptors, and beta 1, beta 2 receptors, and only beta 1 receptors. వస్తున్నా ఒక 5 నిమిషాలు ఆగనా. And activating beta 2 receptors. The drugs which are activating the alpha 1 receptors, that are called adrenergic agonists, which are activating the alpha 1 receptors, are called phenylephrine. The drugs which are activating the alpha 2 receptors are called clonidine. Now the drug which is acting on alpha 1 and beta 1 receptors are called norepinephrine. Now the drug which is acting on alpha 1, beta 1 and beta 2, that is alpha 1, beta 1 and beta 2 receptors are called epinephrine. Now the drugs which are acting on beta 1 and beta 2 are called isoproterenol. And the drug which is acting on only, that is beta 1, is called dobutamine. Next, the drug which is acting on beta 2 receptors is called salbutamol. That is, the drug which is activating the alpha 1 receptors are called phenylephrine. The drug which is activating the alpha 2 receptors is called clonidine. The drug which is activating alpha 1 and beta 1 is called norepinephrine. The drug which is activating alpha 1, beta 2 is called norepinephrine. The drug which is activating beta 1 and beta 2 receptors are called isoproterenol. And the drug which is activating beta 1 is called dobutamine. The drug which is activating beta 2 receptors is called salbutamol. So these are direct acting agonist. Now let us discuss about indirect acting antagonist. Indirect acting antagonist, that is, it will block this transporter. The norepinephrine which is released into the outer surface of these cells, it will get, there are special drug which is acting on this area, that is, it will block these transporters. It will block the transporters that are called cocaines. Whenever this is activate, it will acting on this area, then norepinephrine, this cocaine will be inhibiting this. This cocaine is initiating this synthesis of initiation of these transporters, which is reuptaking this norepinephrine. That is first drug. Now there is another drug, that is, it will inhibit the monoamino oxidase enzyme. Whenever the monoamino oxidase enzyme is inhibited, then they cannot show its action on dopamine. It results in synthesis of norepinephrine. The drug which is acting on monoamino oxidase is pargyline. These are some drugs which are acting on adrenergic and non-adrenergic receptors.